ladies and gentlemen. I had to go out and do some research on all of these different banks collapsing, and Signature Bank is actually the third one. Silvergate was the first bank to collapse, and that was early in the month. So this bank collapse have not been getting a lot of attention until we saw the collapse of SVB. So we saw the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank this past Friday, which was March 10th. And believe me, it spread like wildfire online when it happened, and the stories were just piling on out there. 2 days later, we now are hearing about another bank collapse, Signature Bank. And I heard about this on Sunday. In fact, I got a notification. I have that set up where, when breaking stories come out, I get notified on my cell phone. So here we go again. And y'all, listen, they're trying to tell us, oh, well, this one still is not quite that bad, you know, when you compare it to the 1920s. One thing I know about these folks, just from being around and working with them and everything, they hate when they're not in control of something. So, whatever they can't control, they will either ignore, downplay, or they will just not deal with it at all. And when they do speak about it, they're speaking about it like they're not even in reality. But that is their problem, not ours. So regulators on Sunday seized Signature Bank, and this is the third largest US bank failure that has happened just 2 days after SVB. So regulators seized New York Regional Bank, Signature Bank, 2 days after the shutdown of Silicon Valley Bank. And if you watch my videos, you already know that Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said there is no bailout. These banks are not going to be bailed out. So they said the overseer of the banking system tried to restore calm before markets open today, Monday. Signature becomes the third bank to ever fail in the US behind Silicon Valley Bank. Now, if you remember, and I do remember this, back in 2008, the big bank that failed was Washington Mutual. Some of you may remember that. Some of you may not if you weren't paying attention. But Washington Mutual was that 2008 bank that failed. So when we are looking at this today, it's not like it has not been seen before. It has. So if its assets haven't changed significantly since the end of 2022, Signature had $110 billion in assets as of December 31st, ranking the 29th among US banks. It had $88 billion in deposits as of today, and approximately 89.7% were not insured by the FDIC. So all of those deposit holders will get their money back, according to a joint statement from the Treasury Department Secretary Janet Yellen. Now, they're saying the same thing for SVB. They're saying those customers will get their money back. All right. So the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell and FDIC Martin Grutenberg, he's the chair of the FDIC, who cited that the systemic risk exemption that is also being applied to all Silicon Valley Bank deposit holders, shareholders, and certain unsecured debt holders will not be protected, they added, and senior management had to be removed. Yeah, and I read that Silicon Valley Bank gave people bonuses before they collapsed, gave their employees bonuses. They made sure they got their money, right? So any losses to the FDIC Deposit Insurance Fund to support depositors who exceed the $250,000 protected limit, they added, will be recovered by a special assessment on banks as required by law. The FDIC maintains its insurance fund with regular contributions from banks. The government officials do not disclose how many deposits or assets Signature was left with at the time of its seizure. Signature served customers in the cryptocurrency world and had been trying to reduce its exposure, like Silvergate Bank, another crypto friendly bank that said last week it would voluntarily wind itself down. It suffered from a deposit outflow. So people did a bank run on Silvergate Bank as well. In the aftermath of the collapse of the crypto exchange FTX, deposits dropped 17% in the fourth quarter of 2022 compared with earlier in the year. The value of its securities had also dropped in value due to a rapid rise in interest rates over the last year, a development that also created problems for Silicon Valley Bank once depositors at the California bank began withdrawing money. Signature tried last week to restore confidence in its position as investors punish regional stocks, releasing and filing that stated it had a strong, well diversified financial position. See how they can't face reality? If it was doing strong and it had a good financial position, then it would not have collapsed and been shut down. Come on. You see how that this is what I'm talking about. These folks don't live in reality. So, reiterating the company's intent to reduce its exposure to cryptocurrency customers, its shares sold off more than 20% Friday and were down by 76% over the past year. So, a lot of the banks now, I did another video on the top 20 banks. There's 20 additional banks that are in the same position as these previous banks that have collapsed. And in my opinion, if they are looking the same way, there is no reason why we won't see them collapse as well. They will collapse. There's no doubt about it. Okay. So it acknowledged its most recent annual report that our depositor base is more heavily weighed to larger uninsured deposits than many other banks and noted that the loss of our deposit customers or substantial reduction of our deposit balances could force us to fund our business with more expensive and less stable funding sources. So Signature Bank was actually started in 2001 by Joseph DePablo and chairman Scott Shea. And they said also there was a director by the name of John Tamberlane. So they are the ones that started this bank in 2001. The bank was to cater to high net worth individuals. In a 2001 interview, they said that they described the bank's targeted audience as the guy who starts his business in Brooklyn and now has $20 million in net worth. So they went public in 2004. So it became a lender for Donald Trump before he became president. This is according to a report in 2018 that was in the New York Times. Signature helped to finance Mr. Trump's Florida golf course at Mar-a-Lago, according to the report. And Trump's daughter, Ivanka, served on Signature board from 2011 to 2013. More recently, the bank courted crypto firms by offering Signet, a blockchain based payment platform that allowed customers to move money to each other outside of regular bank hours. So, the largest US crypto exchange is still Coinbase. And they said in a tweet that of the close, they tweeted that, Signature Bank was closing and it had $240 million balance in corporate cash at Signature. Wow, you never know. Remember, Etsy had an account with SVB. So they said they are expected to fully recover these funds. The staple coin issuer and trust company Paxios said in a statement shared with Yahoo Finance that it holds $250 million at Signature Bank and holds private deposits uh, as well that exceed the FDIC limits. Now that Signature has been seized, Circle issuer of the largest stablecoin will not be able to process mint and redemption for the stablecoin through Signet and will be relying on settlements through BNY Mellon. Okay, so Mellon Bank. So, y'all, I mean, this is not looking good, despite the fact that they're trying to put economists and everybody on these major mainstream media news outlets. That's what they're doing right now. And every one of them, oh, it's really not that bad. Oh, it's really, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. If it wasn't that bad, then it would not be blowing up the way that it is. And the fact that we know more banks are coming, trust me, y'all, this is just three. You're going to see many more follow these three. You know why? We are in the last days. These folks think they're in charge. We know the Most High is in charge. We know He is. And He is showing you each and every day that these folks don't have the control that they try to project to everybody. They really don't. And now that we're in these uncharted waters, we can see almost anything happen. This year is going to give America a lot of L's, y'all. There's a lot of L's coming for America this year. You just sit back and wait and see. It's coming. It's going to get far worse than this. They haven't seen nothing yet. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.